We're speaking with Agma Sweeney Parrilla. She is a native of Puerto Rico. She is a community activist from Westfield and has been for decades. She's raised her family here, and we've known each other for a long time.
Yes, we have.
And so when we saw the comedian make those just awful remarks about Puerto Rico at Madison Square Garden during a rally eh, for Trump, so many of us had visceral reactions to this. You know, it wasn't Trump, but it was somebody that he had his campaign had hired to say things that are just awful. And after so many years, 9 years is it, of his cruel remarks about people with disabilities, about Muslims, about people who are from certain countries in Africa, about women. Does nobody remember the first time we heard him refer to how easily he can grab a woman's private body part? He's a convicted felon. There are all these things that are going on, and we're not here to tell you who to vote for. We're here because we're Puerto Rican and we want to speak up on behalf of all the Puerto Ricans in our region to just, in case you believe a word that he says about our beautiful island, we're here to tell you something about who we truly are. So, Agma, who are we, the Puerto Ricans, the Boricuas?
Who are we? The Puerto Ricans and Boricuas. So we are a people originally from Puerto Rico, and of course, Puerto Rico has its own history. Um, but it turns out that we are more of us live in the United States than on the island, and therefore more of us have the right and the privilege to vote in these elections tomorrow. And so it hurt so bad to be characterized like that. And and you think it through and you want to use these words, but what hurt is the way it's done, which is the way that people attack others. You don't see it coming. You just don't see it coming. I mean, when he started about a floating island, our island is the top of a volcano. It is the top of the mountain. I mean, I haven't been to the center of the island, like where your grandfather is from Barranquitas, until just this year for the first time. And we went through the island. We're talking about top of the island, top of the island. Top of the island is top of the mountain. I mean, it's so beautiful. So, he starts with this floating island. It didn't even occur to me. And then when he said what he said, which I try not to see it. I try not to even repeat it because I can't. My body reacts. We don't deserve this. Nobody deserves to be attacked unprovoked. That is bullying. That's something that, you learn as a child. You don't bully. That's not right. And so if that's political discourse, no, we do not have to get used to it. And if somebody attacks us, our being, our family, our, where we're from, you can reject that with every ounce of your body. It hurts, but it's not the truth. And, we are so much better, and we're even better when we can go and vote, and we vote for the, for the benefit of our families and ourselves and our community. And so I should have introduced myself.
Oh, I introduced you.
Yes, you did.
There's more introduction following. Stay tuned.
Yes, more introductions following. So I'm basically the president of Westfield Puerto Rican Association. We have been here since 1994 when we organized as the Westfield Spanish American Association, and we're incorporated in 1995. So we're talking 30 years of an organization that's basically for families of Puerto Ricans. And we basically are a nonprofit organization, and we're part of the Westfield fabric. I mean, that's who we are. This is a nation of immigrants. We hear that a lot. But what that really means is that we are a group of people who all come from different backgrounds, whether it's our ethnicity, our religion, where we are geographically, but here we are. This is the United States, and we have so many rights and privileges, and the right to vote is one of them. And so we have to, that's the route we take, and let's not be intimidated. Let's not be intimidated, because that the American way is for all of us to have a seat at the table and be part of this great nation, como dicen, this great social experiment of democracy. So we're very much a part of that, and I'm proud. I'm proud to be American. I'm proud to be Puerto Rican. It's like they say, who do you love more? You know, your child, your spouse, love is love. You know, there's room for more. You know, we have these. We're part of both the island of Puerto Rico, the community of Puerto Ricans here, our greater community in the United States. You know, there's no we don't have to ration, belonging or love or anything like that. In fact, the more the better. So, I'm very excited, Natalia, for you to give me this opportunity. And, I had to wait a little bit this morning, so I have to tell you what I did.
Okay.
Last year, this is what I did for the election. I actually had this piece of paper that was blank. It was a map blank. So while I waited for you, girl, look at. I got ready for tomorrow.
Wow.
I'm ready for tomorrow. So I don't know if you can see, I have the state, I have my
That is so exciting. Yo
red and
quiero
blue
uno.
pencils ready to.
Yeah. You can put blue dots, red dots, and
Oh, no, it's not dots. It's the whole state gets a color. Except for Nebraska. Nebraska has, has two, their electoral voters divided, and Maine. And so they sometimes, like last year,
They have two electoral votes, you mean?
They have different, Nebraska and Maine split their electoral votes based on the number of votes for one versus the other one. So
okay. So it's not a winner takes all the electoral votes.
Exactly. All the other states, all the other 48 states is winner takes all. Right. So anyway, even, and that's where I learned last election that, there was a mix.
I think that'll be a really good thing for me to do as well, to keep track. I'm going to be at City Hall tomorrow with City Clerk and Registrar of Voters, Brenna Murphy Leary, and her team as the votes come in from the different wards so she can tell me the totals, who voted for this president or candidate or that presidential candidate. We have state rep also. We have state senator John Vilas from your city. He's also our representative. And some other things. We have ballot questions.
We have questions, lots of questions. We have 5, and Westville has 6. We have a 6th question. Yeah, so those are important.
We have 6 too. Yeah, we have 6 also. So before we go, just to reiterate, we as Puerto Rican women, but I think that even if we were from Alaska, because of the characters of who we are, we still would have said that is wrong. Cruelty is wrong, coming from wherever it comes from. It's not funny. It is something that is harmful, especially to our young children, especially to the youth, the teenagers, the young adults who are still formulating, who am I in this world? What do I want to do? And then to hear despicable things be said about our heritage, our people, or any people, is just wrong. It's a violation of human rights. We have a right to go through life. And the United Nations actually says this. We have a right to not be oppressed by other people's bullying. It doesn't say it that way. It says it very beautifully. But look it up. Do your search. The United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. One campaign has been violating it over and over again. Another one has not. Still, in this democracy, you vote for whoever you think is going to be best for you and your family and your community. To be clear, we're not taking stands. We are just speaking up against. That's all. Thank you, Agma Sweeney.
Thank you.
You have always been a North Star for me. You are always in the front lines of what needs to be said, what needs to get done. And that is important, not only to me, but to many other people who you don't even know how you inspire people. And by the way, Agma was a math teacher at Holyoke High School. So
And I
thank
was
you.
also a city councilor in Westfield.
Yeah.
That's my sense of belonging, you know, we
Yeah.
belong in this country, so why not? We can represent, you know,
Yeah.
our city folk. So I think that when you said, you know, you're talking about the United Nations, and our country has a freedom of speech. And I think people misinterpret freedom of speech as a license to lie and to insult and getting away with it. So I think it's clearly that we have a voice, and that's important, and we have a vote. And what I want to also add about, you know, how important it is for children, in my letter to the editor, I wrote that what came up for me first was repressed trauma from childhood, from being receiving racism from an adult, you know, and as children, I think at some point, you know, this happens, but as children, you are in the belief that adults are there to protect you. And so I had, you know, I was surrounded by family, whatever. I lived, you know, in mi casa, como todo el mundo, just in my home. And so I was protected by adults. And even I met people who worked for my father, and Americans and Puerto Ricans, and this was in the States. I'm sorry, in Puerto Rico. He had a federal job, and so he worked with Americans, he worked with Puerto Rican. And again, in that place, I felt safe. And so when you have adults insulting you in a racist way, unprovoked as a child, that doesn't get talked about a lot in our childhood. It doesn't get talked about even as adults, because when it happens to adults, you just gulp and you're like, did I just get insulted? I mean, it's numbing, it's shocking. And so that was the way I felt it. I didn't see it coming, and it was wrong in that regard. So I'm feeling calm that I finally said it. I mean, I've been holding on to this for a long time. And it may not go away necessarily, but you know what? Call it what it is. You know, racism and insult and abuse of power. You know, that's where someone is an adult versus a child, things like that. So someone with power, someone with less power, or powerless. So it's not acceptable, and we don't have to take it, and we will vote, you know, according to what's best for us and our families. So, and our community. That's what it's about.